Welcome to the Daily Dish with Leanne Ely. This is a show about you, your life, and the vibrancy you want. Join us for daily motivation, wise women's tips, and more as we collectively gather together and move the needle in our lives, heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Hello, everyone. I got my blankie on my legs. I'm still freezing. Had to turn off the heat because it's too loud in here. Anyway, welcome. It's Wise Women's Wednesday. You know what that means. Hey, Catherine and Carla. And, of course, the dream team is here. We have Lindsay, we have Amber, and we have Jenny, of course, all here. We're here to support you, help you, and make sure that you feel seen and known and cared about. That's just how we roll. Hey there, Flynn. Boy, didn't we have a fantastic last night in Inner Circle? I'm telling you, that group just fills my soul. So I don't know when we're going to be offering it again. I'll tell you right now, we're not going to be offering it right away afterwards. But boy, it's been a great ride. It's been fabulous. Jocelyn, Christina, Kathy, Helen, Nancy, good to have you all here. So it was really great. And, you know what I've noticed? It's that when you're willing to step outside of the comfort zone, as we know that the comfort zone is just really another word for trap, right? When we're willing to do that, we're willing to see the magic happen in our lives. And that is the key. That is the key. Hey, Julie, I'm glad you're here. So anyway, we're going to get started with today. It's Wise Women's Wednesday. I've got something that we're really going to flip the switch on that's going to blow you away, right? I told you yesterday, hey, Alice, said, watch out, here it comes. And it's true. First of all, the quote of the week, don't watch the clock. Do what it does. Keep going, right? I mean, that's so true. Don't we get stuck in such a repetitive cycle sometimes? I think it's a good thing. I've been writing about this all week long and about what keep going means. Keep going doesn't mean denial. Keep going doesn't mean that, you pretend like everything's just groovy when it's not, especially when it's not. You know what keep going means? Keep going means that the clock's going to keep going. And somehow, some way, you got to figure this next part out. It makes a big difference when you look at it from that perspective. All this week long, we've been flipping our perspective and looking at things just a little bit differently. I think it's been helpful. I hope it has for you anyway. Hey there, Gracie. I'm glad you're here. Helen in the house. Also, we have coming up, the Hot Melt 30 is coming up. You can go and see the webinar on that, okay? I'm going to tell you right now about this. Hot Melt 30 is something I want you to consider because we start on Friday. It's for a 30-day period. This is where we hit all of the boxes. Check, check, check. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. Just go and check it out at savingdinner.com/30. Spell that out. THIRTY. That's going to get you all the info. And let me just tell you, the gals with the biggest needle moving, and I'm talking about on the scale because that's kind of the way we were measuring it in the Hot Melt 30 group. But the gals who do this, the gals who are on it, they're the ones that are doing it. They started with the Hot Melt 30. This was the tipping point for many because it was more than just here's what I'm doing for 7 days. Now the rest of the time I'm going to go off the rails. A lot different. So check that out. Would you? savingdinner.com/30. And if not, I just did our sprint webinar on Monday. You can go check that out at savingdinner.com/sprint. That's where you'll get the guide. That's where you're going to get all the goodies because this Monday we start the sprint. You're either going to be sprinting or you're going to be Hot Melt 30. Either way, principles are the same. The Hot Melt 30 just has a lot more goodies to it. And no, it's not piling on. It is piling in. There's a difference. There's a difference, isn't there? I like to say piling in because I need that stuff piled into my life. Don't you? Hey, Joanne, Francesca, I'm glad you're here. It's so good to have you here. Listen, Nancy's already on top of it. Look what she's doing. She's making her bone broth. I mean, that's the smart thing to do. Hi, Denise. Jackie's here. We love our Jackie. Anyway, so Sue, hi, good to have you. Juanita, you too. So let's make plans for what we're doing in April. And just remember this, that this could be one of the biggest pivotal moments of your life. And that is not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. If you decide to do the Hot Melt 30, because it hits, like I said, all those boxes. It's not just a diet plan. It is the Hot Melt 30. And there's a lot more to it. Go check it out. savingdinner.com/30, THIRTY. Okay. Got that? Don't forget too that tomorrow night, it's the gut webinar. I'm so excited about sharing this information with you. And as I'm a little overwhelmed because today I'm putting the finishing touches on my presentation. And I'm going to have to throw some of the information out because there's just too much. Yes, that's how much all this research has wrought in my research. All this new stuff that I can't wait to share, and the impact that it has on your health, the impact that it has on everyone. I mean, it's just amazing. It is just amazing. Christina, I love that you just said that. She said the Hot Melt 30, another reason for me to be excited for Friday. That's so good. Hey, Jane. So if you haven't gotten your seat yet, go to savingdinner.com/gut. That's where you get your seat. And that's how you can guarantee that you're going to get a replay of the webinar too if you can't make it. That's fine if you can't. But this is how we get it done, okay? Just keep that in mind. Also, Friday is Q&A. That means that you have got until tomorrow afternoon to get your question in, because we cut them off at the knees on Thursday. So I have an opportunity to put this whole thing together. It takes a little bit, and I don't mind. It's just the way it goes. Angie, hello. I'm glad you're here. So if you have a question, all you have to do is send it in to our email at support@savingdinner.com. And in your subject line, if you would put question for Leanne on Friday, that will get it to me and put in the queue. Right, Butterfly? She knows. She knows all about it. Lastly, I want to tell you about our text message application. All you need is a phone. I know you've got one of those. Get your text message application out, pull up the text, and text this word join, all in caps, to this phone number, 855-960-3720. We will reply back. There'll be directions in there, and we're asking you to reply yes to confirm your subscriptions so that you get put into the loop, because tomorrow is going to be exciting. That is when I believe that's when our next Hot Melt 30, our next text goes out. We just do it once a week, but you want them. Just trust me, you want them. Hello, Lynn. Why is Joanne saying what? What did I do? I don't remember. Lastly, we have 2 full blooms coming up. April 23rd is the one that you need to get signed up for now. Now. Are you ready? It's simple. Go to savingdinner.com/bloom. And we have been hinting a lot about the swag bag, because the swag bag, while we have a virtual event, the swag bag is a bag of goodies you will be getting in the mail. And boy, are they intensely fabulous this time. I mean, I'm jumping out of my skin. They're so fabulous. Wait till you see it. Go to savingdinner.com/bloom. Now is the time. Are you ready? Lynn's ready. You ready? Are you all ready? I'm ready for that. And then lastly, I just want you to save the dates, July 29th and 30th. This is the full bloom in person right here, Brevard, North Carolina. Asheville's the closest airport, or you can fly into Charlotte or Greenville, South Carolina. Those 2 airports will also service this area. But I will say that your accommodations are going to be the most important thing, because they go fast. Go fast. So go get that handled. We have the Sunset Motel, which is just like this kitschy 60s retro vibe. It's really cute. Cheap. Probably already gone. I know a lot of you've already made your plans, so fabulous. But you just really need to get on that. Lastly, we have our special of the week, digestive enzymes. You know I'm a nut about them if I've got 2 different kinds. We've got the glycozyme. That's this one. This one has a little bit of a sugar regulation type of a thing. If you have any kind of sugar sensitivity, insulin resistant, diabetes, that kind of a thing, it's going to help, as well as help you digest And then we have Digestizymes, of course we do. And Digestizymes are going to help you just take that steak and make it less of a brick in your stomach and make you feel a whole lot better. It's also going to help you get off of all those digestive stuff. If you're a Tums addict, it's time to put that away, because Tums isn't going to help you digest. It's just going to quell that stomach acid. We don't need that. We need to be able to feel good, right? So anyway, who's coming tomorrow night? I want to make sure you're on this 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, savingdinner.com/gut. Go get your seat, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna blow you away. I promise you. I always say that, right? But it's true. All right, so that's everything that I have to tell you, and let's get on the subject matter, because this week we've been talking the whole time about flipping the switch. And as you can see right here, I've got my, that's bothering me. I don't want to see that. That was yesterday's little lesson. If you didn't see that, the difference between a growth mindset and a set mindset, that was a big deal. So I hope you saw that show yesterday, because that was one of the things that moved the needle in my life big time when I first learned about that, because I looked at it and looked at the difference between a growth mindset and a set mindset and went, oh my gosh, I'm mostly a set mindset. That's got to change, right? And it sure did. And my life changed as a result. Yes, Vanessa, good job. Everybody is, yes, tomorrow night. Good, yay, 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 yay. All right, I'm glad to hear that. So today, we're not going to be talking about that at all. What we're going to be talking about today is stress. Now, I talked about this a little bit a while back, talking about how stress can make us resilient. But today I want you to have a new view of stress and what it is about, because I have a feeling, if you're anything like me, that one of the things that you maybe oftentimes, oh, I'm so stressed out, or I'm stressed, or I'm overwhelmed. And I'm reading this book is a book. Here's the book that I'm currently reading. This is with my book club, Atlas of the Heart. And there's some really interesting stuff about being overwhelmed in there and what overwhelmed is. I feel like we use that word way too often, and we're not really using it in the true meaning that we should be. That's what my takeaway was with that part of the thing. But I just want to get you to the place of understanding about stress, because we have this tendency to think all stress is bad, and it's not. It really isn't. It's when we allow stress to have its way instead of controlling it. Remember, you are the conductor of your life, right? You are. There is nothing that can take over without your permission. You can't allow that. I mean, obviously there's diseases and things that run away from us and what have you, but I'm talking about emotionally different things that are going on with us. We can make different decisions that are going to control the way things are done. And it's a matter of tactics. It's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of knowing what the brain does, what the chemical reaction is to all of that stuff. It's really big time stuff. So cheers, let's get into it. This is for you, Nancy. Okay, so most people agree that stress is not an ideal feeling, right? You know that feeling, and you can feel it because your shoulders get tight. You can feel it up and through your jawline even. There's a lot of things that happen. And when I go to bed, well, actually when I get up in the morning and when I go to bed, I have two different meditations times. They're only 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. Oh man, I just washed my hair, and when I get those flyaways, those little flyaways like to get into my eyes and tickle my face. Drives me just a little crazy. Anyway, so we have to look at stress from a different perspective. We have to look at stress as what's going on in my body. Obviously, too much cortisol, which is the stress hormone, can do all kinds of, really bad things to your body and take you down a peg or two. We don't want that. But when we're in high stress situations, oftentimes we're losing sleep. We have insomnia. We have eating disorders even. That'll come out of that. Headaches, shortness of breath. These are all things that, WebMD will tell you about. Body aches and even panic attacks. This can all be the result of too much stress in your body. So we get that. This is what high stress levels do, because it's high stress that's not being dealt with. Okay, let's differentiate. High stress, oh my gosh, it's just happening. It's like we're standing under a shower of stress hormones, versus here is the stress and making a decision to step out and go to the side of that a little bit. A little bit different. It's not denial, and it's not dealing with it. It's just, this is how the whole thing works. But here's the thing that you need to know about chronic stress, undealt with chronic stress. It kills your brains. It kills brain cells. It shrinks the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and it reduces your ability to learn and remember. That's kind of scary, isn't it? I don't know about you. I want every single brain cell that I have, and I want to become more intelligent and smarter, because we learned with a growth mindset that is entirely possible. That is at any age, by the way. We don't just stop learning. We don't just stop having the ability to get smarter. It doesn't just end. That's all what we've been taught, but that's not true. And same here with stress. We don't have to be chronic stress's target, right? That is, if we are viewing stress and just saying, oh my gosh, and here it is, there's a lot of talk about it. Oh, the stress, oh, the this, oh, the that, and I'm feeling this, and I'm feeling that, and it's negative, 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 negative. Yeah, the stress is hard. Yes, the stress is this and stress is that. But if you view it as 100% negative, then that stress is going to come in there and start killing off those brain cells, shrinking down your prefrontal cortex and giving you a memory that's crap. and your ability to learn, can't do it. I remember being in that high stress place of even to the place of having anxiety attacks. And I remember picking up a book to read, and I could hardly get through. Avid reader here. And I could hardly get through it. And I was thinking, that is really frightening. And how much of this am I really retaining, right? This is what happens when stress has got you in its sight. And we've got to change that up. There's a psychologist named Kelly McGonigal, and she says we need to make stress our friend. Okay? Now, bear with me. This is important information, especially for like you, Joanne. I mean, you are in a high stress situation where you're dealing with an elderly parent, and that's no picnic. Everybody knows that. It's just no picnic. And when you're in high stress situations and there is a target essentially on your back for all that stress hormone, you got to learn how to say, well, hold on a minute now. I need to make stress my friend. I need to figure out how to work with stress instead of how to just sit there and complain about it and be negative about it, because that's when that's when the what storm hits, and it's not fun. So here's the deal. They did a study of 30,000 people. They asked them, how stressful is your life? 8 years later, 43% who answered very stressful had died. 43%. That's almost half of the study, folks. But only if the participants had viewed the stress as negative. Only then. The others did not. They didn't view it. They just thought, you know what? Hey, it happens. This is part of life. This is whatever it is. I am dealing with this, though. I am taking care of my elderly parent because I love them, and I'm doing the very best that I can. I'm going to bring in help as I can and looking for solutions rather than complaining and stewing, essentially poaching in the problem. Are you hearing me on this whole thing? Because how we react is how we're going to get back all this stuff. Because essentially what we're doing is we're telling our body, go ahead and attack yourself. Go ahead and take us down because the stress is killing. You walk around saying the stress is killing me. The stress says, game on. You got it, sister. We talk about this often, but how often are we really examining the words that we're saying? Because the words that we're saying are going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's because at every minute of every day, our brains are listening and our bodies are responding in kind. I want you to think about one thing here, okay? Just this is a little teensy sidebar, but this is critically important. Every single one of your cells in your body is at attention waiting for a command. You get a chemical reaction according to what you're thinking and what you're saying. You do. You don't have a choice in this. This is how this whole thing works. So if you are conscious of this and you're intentional about the things that you're saying and you're not in this hyperbolic, blah, blah, blah place of, how hard everything is and all of that. And that's not to say you can't have something that's hard in your life, but we have ways of coping with things that's not going to take us down. That's not going to put us in this unbelievable, relentless place of being accosted then by our state of being, because the chemical reactions in our bodies are there, guns blazing. You hear me on that? This is important because we unintentionally set ourselves up for disease all the time. We can't, we have to be taking care of ourselves, but we also have to be really mindful of our words. We have to be really mindful of our words. You can't go to McDonald's and come home with a big bag of burgers and say, this is like the healthiest thing in the world that I can eat when it's a full-on life. You know what I'm saying? So people who viewed high stress as not harmful were fine, as a matter of fact. And they had the highest rate of survival in this study. It's stress plus your belief. That's what's going to give you the result every single time. Half the people that had died, those 43% of people who had died, were the high stressors and believed that the stress was completely 100% negative. And it showed up as such. So, isn't that mind-blowing? But there's a couple of different things to be looking at. People who believe stress as enhancing, like this is going to put a fire under my butt. This is going to make me go get things done. They were less depressed and more satisfied with life. How about that? How about that when we say, okay, you know what? That is going to time crunch me, but that just means I'm going to have to get up earlier. That means I'm going to have to go to bed a little bit earlier. That means I'm going to have to do this instead. Or we could just sit there and go, this stress is killing me. Okay, game on. Isn't it interesting? So the other thing is these people had more energy and fewer health problems. These are the people who decided that stress was going to be their friend. Stress was just going to be an impetus and not a negative. There's a big difference. Big, big difference. And here's the other thing. This is the other thing that they found, that they were happier and more productive at work. They made friends with stress. They made friends with it. Stress is merely pressure, right? And what does pressure make? Diamonds, right? We know all of this. A little lump of black coal becomes a diamond. And this is what it can be. Or it could just be something that you complain about. So the other thing that it took it a step further and it measured the cortisol. Now remember, cortisol is a stress hormone that is inside of your body after a traumatic event. Like say you're in a car accident or getting a divorce or something that was especially unexpected. And here's what they found, that there's big surges of adrenaline immediately following a huge stressful event, understandably, but they recovered way better than those who just stayed calm. Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that is? Because staying calm is a lie. Staying calm, responding like that is a lie. And that's not what I'm talking about here at all. I am talking about responding in kind, but just getting off the complain wagon, stop making that your life's focus and start and understanding that there's some pressure from all of this. There's, relationship changes and things that happen. It happens. But stress is our friend. What is this teaching me? Where's the teachability moment here? What do I need to learn from this? Can I still be happy? Yes. Can I still move forward? Absolutely. It doesn't mean the hard part is going to go away. It doesn't mean that the struggle to balance isn't going to be present. It just means that you've made friends, you made peace with the situation, with what it is, right? That's huge. Researchers also found that those with no stress, had a low level of joy and happiness, and had high levels of shame and anger. So it's apparent that a little bit of stress is going to be helpful for you. And even with high levels of stress, those with this idea that everything is figure outable, those with this idea and this notion that that everything is working out on their behalf anyway, regardless, they're the ones who are going to go forward. They're not going to be a part of the 43% that died. They're going to be a part of do the math, 57%. Is that right? Yeah. Who thrive. That's just a huge thing. So that study proves that stress is a whole lot more nuanced than we previously thought. Don't you agree with that? Obviously, I think wise women somehow know this. I remember I've told this story before, but it was a good story. When I was in sales, this is way back in the 80s. Probably some of you weren't even born then, but way back in the 80s, and my boss said nobody can do this, can get sales orders in their first month of being out there. And I said, you want to bet? Because I was that smart ass. You want to bet? Watch me. And he said, nobody's ever done it. In all my years, I've never seen anybody do it. So guess what? I went out there and I did it, and I got 2 orders. I went out there and do it. The stress to me was my friend. The pressure and the no, you can't do it was enough for me to say, ooh, now you better watch. Sit down, put on a seatbelt. Here we go. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie like that, and I work well under pressure. I threw out half of Full Bloom when the night before we were having our Full Bloom at 10 p.m. because I wasn't happy with it and rewrote it. It happens, that's just how I roll. But it's also how, according to this research, that if you make friends with stress, you will make it happen. You will make it happen. Now, I will say that my Mark, he likes to go skidding into the airport where they're just closing the door behind you. That kind of stress, that makes me want to punch someone. And usually that person who I want to punch is right next to me because that I can do without. That kind of stress, I'm not kidding, I'm not going to deal with. But the kind of stress that I'm talking about is allowing the stress to create enough pressure that you can create a diamond out of it. It's true. It's so true. So if it's handled properly, it can make you smarter. It can make you more successful. It can make your life more meaningful. It can add new dimension and make you more compassionate and make you more kind. Also in the study, by the way. On the other hand, it can cause a downward spiral because of the way you're viewing it. Bringing on health issues, causing feelings of being out of control, being helpless and hopeless. And honestly, the difference is just mindset. That's it. It is a switch in the mindset. Flick. We're not kidding. And that's what wise women do. They look for opportunity to flip the switch at all times with all things. Because it's never exactly the way that we think it is, especially when we're looking at something negative. There is always an opportunity to go in there and say, okay, there's going to be an opportunity here to grow. There's going to be an opportunity for me to do something different. I have a friend, Christina Rasmussen. I've shared her a million times before because she's so brilliant. And I love her to death. And she's having her birthday actually this weekend. And unfortunately, I was unable to go. But she is just one of the most lovely souls I've ever met. She lost her husband at a very early age. She was in her 30s. Her husband also was in her 30s, and they had 2 little kids. She was a trained psychologist, counselor, grief counselor. And, can I just tell you, when her husband died, all of that and all of her elite training, she was at Cambridge, for heaven's sakes, meant nothing because it didn't work for her. It didn't work for her. So she turned around and she created this mindset of how to grieve and how to live with grief. Kind of like how we talked about fear, with the fear fence and all of that. And she had her own notion of, the waiting room and all of this. And you'd have to read her book. It's called Second First, and you can find it on Amazon. You can find it anywhere. And it absolutely 100% helped me with my grief with my mom and a breakup even, a long time ago. But the difference is and what I'm trying to get at is that even in this horrible, stressful, awful situation where her life was turned upside down, she today is remarried, happily, wonderful husband. I know her husband. He's fantastic. And she has now taken this experience and turned it around into helping thousands and thousands of women. Now, it's never like a good thing when one loses one spouse, but the way she approached it as she was going through all the grief was that second first, first is plural, FIRSTS, Jackie. Wonderful book for you to read. I know it'll really, really help you. And it's really fresh for you right now. So you might want to get it and read it a little bit and put it down and up and down and all of that. But by the way, I love you. And you're in my heart and prayers right now. So anyway, but I mention this because it's when we're going through the stress that we're going through, and grief is a huge stress, as you know, there are things that we can do even in just that moment. And sometimes it's a cup of tea. Sometimes it's a nice warm bath or a call to a friend or a nap. It's just that very simple. Sometimes it's moment by moment. But overall, is my point, is that even traumatic moments can be pivotal moments and can get us to a place of understanding something new about ourselves and creating a new path. The little gal who had her arm bitten off as a shark, she's now a motivational speaker. It hasn't stopped her from getting married and having children. So, we got to look at all of these things and just say, okay, so how am I going to handle this little bit of stress that I've been handed? So I've got for you then the ability to flip the switch. I've got several things for you to do on what you can do. Remember this, that stress is only bad if we see it as bad. We can make friends with it and we can say that, is it a threat or is this a challenge? And I would just venture to say it's all a challenge. It's all a challenge. It doesn't mean it's fun and exciting and like, ooh, here we go. Let's have some stressful challenges. But this is how muscle's built, by the way. You know that. This is how muscle's built. Every time you lift heavy weights, you're putting stress on your muscle. And when you put that stress on your muscle, it gets a little bit of a tear. That's why you wait a day before you go back to stressing out that same muscle, so it has a day to repair and get stronger than it was before. That's our resilience in action. That's how we are. And stress can be the impetus toward resilience if we allow it to be. And number 2 is don't calm down, because calming down is fake and phony. Okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Instead, now this is funny because a long time ago when I was doing a lot of public speaking, I don't do a lot anymore, but maybe that'll come back again on my plate. But I was doing a lot of public speaking and I used to get so stressed out. And I had somebody who say to me, don't stress out about it. Be excited. Instead, change your focus to excitement. Yeah, this is obviously not for everything. Not if you've just lost your husband, of course not. But allowing yourself to feel the feelings and also embracing it. And just say, this is what it is. So if you're going to go out there and do some speaking, instead of saying, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm scared to death, whatever. No, you're excited. You get to share this. You get to be this. And you get to be among people. And there's a big difference there. Eric Barker calls it it's like a strong cup of coffee. I thought that was so great. He's an author and I really like his work. Number 3 is to view stress as a helper, because there's physiological changes that we experience with stress. There's nitric oxide that gets poured into your muscles. That's so good for you. And it also pours into your brain and helps with blood flow. So it helps you to think if you allow and if you look at it that particular way. Think strength. Strength when we're under the stress. This is super important. Stress hormones can work on your behalf if you ask for help and align with them. Right? You can have a community. You have a community to tap into. There's two things, right? You have old experiences to tap into. Okay, when I was stressed out and did this, with my job or whatever, this is what I did instead. Think about it that way. I could have been stressed when my boss, Mr. Langley, I still remember his name, said you could never do that. I could have been stressed. Oh, he doesn't believe in me. Blah, 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 blah. I could get gone that way, or said, watch out, buckle up, here I go. And I use that as an impetus to push me and make me work harder. Stress was still there. The pressure was still there, but I made friends with it. And I actually enjoyed the challenge of the whole thing. And it worked. So if we think about this kind of stress that way, we can tap into an experience where we've conquered before, and also ask for our community. And don't we have a great one on the Hot Melt Sprint group right here on Facebook? Ask our community for help. Hey, I've got this. It's an overwhelming situation. I really don't know how to handle it. Help me to have some new thoughts about this. That is opening the door to possibility and solution. And possibility and solution is so much better than just being pushed down and shoved in a corner, right? Number 5 is to decide and execute on your goals, right? Goals, always goals, because goals push us beyond our day-to-day and create a mindset that even in times of big stress increases our motivation and our courage. That's huge. Because how else are you going to be there for anybody else if you can't be there for yourself first? Motivation and courage. Motivation, I'm going to get off my can and go work my butt off so that I can show Mr. Langley he's wrong, right? I want to show him he's wrong and prove to myself that I can do it. That was my motivation. And the courage was to keep knocking on those doors. If you've ever been in sales and had to cold call, I think this is one of the best character builders you can ever do, because it pushes you out. And you might think that I'm an extrovert. I'm not. I'm just simply love to talk and what have you. I get drained from being on all the time, and then I have to shut down and just be quiet and by myself. That's how it is. So asking me to go knock on doors and what have you, people I don't know. Hey, I'm Leanne. It's so nice to meet you. Do you want to buy my title insurance? Most people don't like that. Don't like it. But it is a character builder and a half. And it pushes stress into the friend lane, because otherwise you're going to freak out and curl up in the fetal position and need to be picked up. So remember this, that choosing meaning over avoiding stress, because it's uncomfortable, could we just agree with that, challenges you to the next level up. It does. It challenges you. And that's how you become the resilient, wise woman that you want to become. We don't want to just lay it down every time a little bit of stress comes our way, do we? We don't want to just give up and say, I can't do that. We don't want to just say, oh, I'm just struggle bus. I don't know about you, but I want my ticket voided from the struggle bus. It might be hard, but I don't have to get on that bus ever. So instead of coping with harmful avoidance and coping behaviors, you know what I'm talking about, going headfirst into a bag of chips or Oreos or whatever, drinking, and I'm not talking hot milk mix. I'm talking about putting something else in that glass, staying up too late, getting on the phone, playing games, etc. You embrace the challenge and you become the wise woman that you are meant to be, because stress can be your friend if you decide it is. So there, nanny. I hope you found that helpful. I sure like talking about that because it just made my eyes go boing. And you know what? Stuff like this is something that we really, really need, isn't it? We sure do. Anyway, tomorrow night, get on it. This is the last call here. Not quite, but you know what I'm saying. SavingDinner.com/gut to get in on the gut webinar. You ready for that? I am. I cannot wait to share with you everything that I've dug up. You're going to be blown away. Peace be with you. I'm excited. I'm still processing the fact that you're not an extrovert. I'll explain all of that, Sarah. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Check back for new episodes. If you missed the live show, you can always watch the replay. You can find Saving Dinner on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, pinkies up.